All right, we are live. Just giving it a couple of more minutes to get a few more people to get on, and we're gonna get started. All right, welcome to another Crowd Wall Street podcast. I know it's weird. We're doing a podcast on a Monday, but hey, we can break a couple of rules. We have to get this one in this week. So if you're on here right now, go ahead and like it, share this video of your YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share this video. I'm sure you're going to enjoy this conversation today. For those, if this is your first time listening to Crowd Wall Street podcast, this is your first time seeing this face. I am TL Williams, co-founder of Crowd Wall Street, which is a crowdfunding platform for minority entrepreneurs and investors, where we help connect entrepreneurs to capital, raising capital, and also providing opportunities for individuals to learn how to invest in startups and real estate. You can check us out on Facebook. Just type in Crowd Wall Street and you will see our Facebook page. You can join our Facebook private group where we do live trainings, where we educate people on crowdfunding. We educate people on capital raise. We educate people on the private markets to understand the terminology of what a valuation is, what is a safe, what is a Series A, all the fun stuff that nobody wants to talk about. But we educate you guys on it because that's really what we're big on. We're big on education. We want to educate our people so they can understand what's out there and the opportunities that's out there now, especially with crowdfunding. So let's get started. Today we have Miss Cora Miller with Young King Hair Care. I was excited to see one of her posts on LinkedIn and how she got her products into Target, which is one of the things that we talked about a couple of months ago about striving for bigger things. And just to see this, it was like mind blowing. I love it. So I had to reach out to Miss Cora so we can bring her on so she can encourage you guys and so we can hear her story, her journey, her process, her challenge, and how she created Young King Hair Care. And that way you guys could be, follow her, support her. She's in Target. She has a website. This is what we're about. So enough of me running my mouth. Let's go ahead and bring Cora on the stage. Cora.
Hello.
What's going on, Cora?
Oh, not much. Thank you for that introduction. I got hype.
Hey, gotta do it. So
thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking the time out to talk with us. Look, I'm excited. I was excited when I saw the post, and it's really encouraging to see what you have accomplished so far. I mean, I know this ain't the last. I know you have more in store for your business and for your family, but I was just excited when I first saw the post, and I was like, look, I got to bring her on our podcast so she can talk about this, because I think our people need to hear more about these type of things that's going on for our people. Many of us shop at Walmart, we shop at Target, Publix, and we don't think twice about having our products on these shelves. So, to see somebody do it, I'm quite sure it can encourage somebody else to say, you know what, I want to strive for that. I want to get my products in one of these big corporations. So I'm happy that you took the time out to talk about us. So First things first, let's get into Young King hair care. Like, what is it? You know, how did you came up with it, and let's start from there.
Yeah, well, thank you. So, Young King, we are a plant-based natural hair care line intentionally crafted for multicultural boys. We're actually one of the first brands that really represents multicultural boys within the beauty industry. And so, started this company inspired by my son, who just turned 4. But when we started this, and I kind of got the idea for the company, he was only about 6 months old. And I was looking for products to really help me style his hair. And more importantly, I was looking for kind of clean, vegan, plant-based products for his hair because that's what I use on mine. And it surprised me that there weren't any specific products really created for boys of color. And I think that bothered me for a lot of reasons. I think, first, representation is just so important. I think you should be able to see yourself in the products that you use. And so for me, it was just an idea, a feeling, a thought that just wouldn't go away. By no means did I ever think I was going to become an entrepreneur, to be quite honest with you. I was busy, climbing the corporate ladder. I had my corporate career going on. I was a VP of external affairs. I was doing my damn thing.
Right.
So I never thought that I would go into this space. But it was my son. It was the simple fact that when I talked to other boy moms, and they said, you're right, there's really nothing that represents our boys, our Black and brown boys. That's when I was like, I'm going to do something about it. And
Nice.
so I went to my husband actually and told him my idea. And of course, him being, the marketing guru that he is, that's what he does for a living, has his MBA, trained in that. He was like, okay, well, what's your business plan? What's your competitive landscape? What's your consumer research? Like all these things. I was like, oh my God. So I actually took the time to do that though. I built out a business plan. I did consumer research. I looked at the competitors in the space. I talked to people. I surveyed over 100 moms that had sons to understand what their needs were. And then ultimately I kind of pitched to him and he was like, you're on to something. And I was like, duh, I could have told you that. And so with him on board, we got to work. Now, I'm not the type of beauty founder that was literally in the kitchen kind of whipping up products. I don't even like to cook, let alone call by myself whipping up products. So I knew I needed a partner to help me do that. And so I went straight to a chemist who has worked in the textured hair industry for years, and partnered with that company to really help develop and create our initial products. And so as the story goes, we worked on that for about 1.5 years until we finally went to market in December 2019. So we're only a year old. And in that year, it's been such a whirlwind. Just the amount of support that we receive from people who firmly believe in our mission, the fact that we were able to secure retail distribution just launching a couple weeks ago, it's just been so incredible. And just recognizing people firmly believe, they understand, they recognize that there is a gap in this space, and that we're fulfilling that need.
So that is awesome. So what was the turning point before we get into the retail space? Like, what was the turning point from leaving corporate to actually, because are you a full-time entrepreneur now?
Yeah, as of October.
So what was the turning point? Like, what made you say, you know what, this is where I need to be at. I need to leave here. And like, what was that turning point? What was that aha moment?
The aha moment really came to a head, once we kind of had secured these retail partnerships, and our DTC business was picking up. And for the simple fact that I my corporate career, was very demanding. So I was working, from 7:30 a.m. to like 6:30 p.m., then playing with my son, and then getting back to it with young King. So I wasn't going to bed till like 2 a.m, sometimes later than that. And so it finally came to a point where, one, I was just like physically burnt out.
Right.
And two, I recognized the rapid growth and trajectory of the business was now at a point that it needed it needed full attention. We can, like, me and my husband doing this part-time on the side, that wasn't just going to work anymore. And even more than that, we were in a place financially to be able to support me going into the business full time. So I tell people all the time, founders all the time, you have to determine your position, where you're at from a financial perspective, from whatever else you have going on in your life, to determine if you're ready to make that move. I can't tell you, but that's just something that you just kind of have to navigate and figure out. And for me, it was a couple of things that led me there, but ultimately I got there. And so have been full-time now for 4 months, October, November, not even 4 months. So
I think that's key, because I know there are some entrepreneurs that still working their business but still working, and they're trying to figure out, like, when should that transaction happen fully. And it's like, one of it is, to me, it's like, you really can't properly plan for it. You can, but it's like, I believe there's no perfect time.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
On top of that, then it's like, there's that factor. Then the next factor is that fear factor, because now it's like, we've been so accustomed and comfortable with our corporate jobs, where now I'm moving from some checks, and now my business is fully dependent on me.
Correct.
And I'm not successful, my business not successful, then I'm considered a failure. So it's like, those are the things that, many entrepreneurs face, is like that fear factor, and then when is that right time. So I'm glad you pointed that out. Everybody has their own appointed time, your personal finances, your personal situation, and you have to, come to grips with yourself to see, okay, if I leave my job, will I be able to still sustain, my livelihood and things of that nature.
Amen.
The second thing, the second thing you point out, which, I talked about this, I think during our boot camp, we had our first Crowd WallStreet boot camp. One of the things you mentioned, which I love, is you did like a survey. You did like a beta, not even a beta test, but you did a survey prior to launching your product. And I think that's important. You came up with the idea, you liked it, and then in some cases you see a lot of entrepreneurs, because they like it, I'm gonna make it a business because everybody else have to like it because I like it. And it's not always the case. Just because you like it doesn't mean somebody else like it. So I'm glad you mentioned that. You did the legwork, you did the research and development, you surveyed moms, which is your target market. And it and I'm quite sure it helped you in your development stage of your business, because you know exactly
110%. That survey informed our initial product offerings, to be honest. So and recognizing, we bootstrapped this whole thing. So when we first were developing the products, we knew we could only launch with a few. Like, we couldn't do the whole gamut. And so based on that feedback that I got through the survey, it was, what they were really looking for was styling products, which makes sense because they use that on the daily basis, struggling, trying to figure out what to do on a daily basis. Whereas, where I was coming from, my original thought was like, oh, I'm going to come out with that shampoo and conditioner first because that's what I think people would want. So no, that's not what they had wanted. And even the fact that survey also verified that parents were willing to pay more premium prices for kind of salon quality products for their kids. Which is surprising when you think about it, and maybe not so surprising, because I know I'm willing to do that for my child, but I wanted to gut check that. And so I was, pleasantly surprised that other parents felt like me when it comes to really looking for kind of clean vegan products that they want to, have for their children and their sons.
Nice. Nice. So let's talk about the products a little bit. So you have a variety of products, right? Like a couple of products. Is it like just hairstyling or is more to it?
Yeah, so right now we have 5 products, all within the hair space. And so we have kind of our styling products, there's 3 of them. And then we have like our wash set, which there's 2 of them, so 5 total. And then of course we're working on other products, both in the hair space and going into personal care. So think skin, body, and face.
Got it. Nice. Nice. So let's fast forward. So far as getting into the retail space at Target, was that something that you already, that was the goal, or was it something that came up in the mix of the process of you building your business?
No, that was the goal. When I first manifested Young King and wrote out my business plan, it was secure retail partnerships, because for me, when I walked down the aisle, I didn't see anything that represented my son. And I know other parents felt the same way. And
Right.
so I wanted other parents to have that experience. I want Black and brown boys to have that experience, that when they go down the textured hair care aisle, they see a product that looks like it was made for them.
Right.
So that was my vision, my manifestation when I wrote out my business plan, that I wanted to be able to secure retail partnership.
Nice.
What was the blessing in all of this is you couldn't have predicted, at least I couldn't have predicted that would happen in my first year of business.
Right. No. Yeah.
No idea that was going to happen in my first year of business. But what ended up happening was that we were actually accepted into Target's accelerator program. And so this is good for entrepreneurs to know,
Right.
and founders to know, that Target has kind of a boot camp accelerator program.
I didn't even know that.
Yes, they do. And so I found out about it because we actually Young King launched in December at this event that they held here in Atlanta. It was the Essence Target Holiday Marketplace. So they held it here in Atlanta. That was our first ever like big reveal coming out. This is Young King. But it was through that event that we met with people from Target and that program. So that's how we found out about it.
Wow.
And we were only a month launched when we applied, and then we were accepted when we were only 2 months old. So it was kind of insane.
Yeah.
And crazy how that happened, because there was over 400 applicants. And so we were accepted, we interviewed and was accepted. And so that was a game changer for us, literally a game changer. So to be a part of that program, to understand what it means to be retail ready, I don't think there is no way that I would have known everything that you need to have kind of in place, or to be thinking about when you think about scaling your business for a Target. And so that was so helpful. And then of course, being able to build those relationships with Target leaders, the buyer, that was invaluable. So because of that program, being able to forge those relationships, being able to understand what it means to be ready for retail really helped us get to a place to have kind of a successful meeting with our buyer and ultimately secure distribution. Yeah.
So when it comes to having your products in Target, you have to have a minimum amount of inventory that they require before actually having your products in their store?
Well, it's more so they just want to know that you have your supply chain in order. So they want to know that at the end of the day, they want to know that if they give you a PO, they have putting out an order for your products, that you're going to fulfill it, and that you're going to fulfill it on time, and that you're going to fulfill it on time in the certain window.
Right.
And so that requires you to have a manufacturing partner. That requires to have your 3PL set up. So someone that's packing and shipping and able to receive those orders directly from Target, and then fulfilling them, and then coordinating with pickup and having that ship out. So it's they care about once we give you an order, are you going to be able to fulfill that and fill it on time? So,
Makes sense. Makes
so
sense.
it's on you to make sure that you can do that and
Right.
have the inventory to be able to support that.
Got it. Got it. Wow, that's interesting. That is interesting. I
Yeah.
didn't even know Target had that. I didn't know. So
Yeah, and
are
quite a
you
few founders have reached out to me because I talk about it all the time because it was just such a great program.
right?
Just to learn more, and they have a whole website. So I'm happy to, if anyone ever wants to like chat or learn more about it, I'm happy to share because it was definitely just a great experience.
Definitely, definitely. So I know you said you guys bootstrap. So have you or do you plan on raising funds to expand the business?
Yes, so actually, we are getting ready to wrap up our seed round.
Okay.
So we've been fundraising since the fall and getting ready to close up. So it's definitely been an adventure.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, like, how is that so far? Like, what's the
uh,
have you dealt with what are the challenges? Because I think it's important. Like, what is the challenges that? Because I'm quite sure this is your first fundraising, right?
mhm, mhm.
So, what are some of the challenges that you experience when raising capital?
Oh, where do I start? Um, I think, when it comes to fundraising, you just have to know the game. Um,
Mhm.
and and um, you have to know who to go to and when. I can't even describe it because it's just so interesting how fundraising works. And when you're having these different conversations with investors versus, big funds versus family funds, they all look and want different things. And so you just have to be prepared for what their asks are and recognize if that partnership with, whether it's an angel, whether it's with a microfund, or whether it's with a big VC, if that's the partnership you truly want.
Right.
So it's a lot of courting, it's a lot of conversations, it's a lot of follow up. You go through a lot of due diligence. And ultimately, again, just from my experience, there is a frustrating parts when you do all of that and then the relationship kind of fizzles out, because people simply at the end of the day still don't understand your market and
Yep.
still don't understand what you're trying to build. And for me,
Right.
that was the most frustrating part of fundraising, is like, I've literally given you all that you've
Everything.
asked for. I've given you everything. I've shown you the stats, the market opportunity, everything. I've shown you
Right.
even our like everything. And then ultimately to still get a no, or I'll wait, or I'll pass, or you're too early. That's
Yeah.
it can be really tiresome.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie, and it can
Yeah.
be really draining. But at the end of the day, you know what you're building. You know your business is doing the damn thing. So you
Right.
keep going. You meet other people. You have more conversations until you get that yes.
Right. That's
Um,
one of the things that we kind of chime in on is and some of the things that I went over when we had our boot camp is it could be difficult raising capital from investors, especially because you said I don't know if you watch Shark Tank, but
yes.
you see it on Shark Tank all the time. It's like, you know, people will present their business, their products and services, and sometimes it can be a good product or service, but sometimes the sharks, they don't understand it,
Yep.
and because of that alone, they don't
Correct.
invest in it. So
Correct.
you can have a good product, it's just, you know, just not a good fit for that particular investor. And that's one of the things that I talk about as well. It's like one of the things that as entrepreneurs we need to understand what type of, like you said, what type of partnership, what type of investor do we need for our business. Like I had
Correct.
people that inbox me and say, hey, I want to raise capital from a VC, and they don't even have a pitch deck. Like they don't have anything together. So I'm like,
No, that's
VC
not
is
where you
not
want
really
to
where
go
you want to
then.
go.
Yeah, that's not
Right.
where you want to
And
go.
so this, to me, when I hear stuff like that, it just proves that the education piece need to be brought to the front end, because once you understand first thing, understanding what is an angel investor, what is a VC, a venture capitalist, and then understanding how they operate.
Yes.
Then you have to understand, because within those sectors, you have subsectors. So
Yep.
every VC invests in different industries. They look for, like you
Correct.
just said earlier, each investor look at different things. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of research and due diligence from an entrepreneur, where you have to find out that investor who fits your business model, who fits your industry, and then that's who investors you kind of target, because now
And
you have some common interests. So
yep.
I'm glad you brought that up.
That's
I'm glad
exactly
you brought it up.
right. And one thing we as founders have to remember, especially we're on the fundraising trail, is we're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing
Right.
us.
Yes.
And sometimes I know I would forget that, because at the end of the day, you're like, I just need this capital because I
Yes.
got to build a team.
Yes.
I need to do more marketing, like all of these things that I need the capital for. But you have to remember, so you have to make sure that your goals, vision, mission is aligned with theirs.
Right.
They're not going to make you deviate too far from that. So
Yes.
make sure that when you're whether it's an angel or a VC, you have to interview them just as much as they're interviewing you.
Yes. And that's why it's important when you're talking about bootstrapping, because one of the things we talk about is with crowdfunding. I think in most cases, reward-based crowdfunding is overlooked and undervalued. And one of the things that I explained is, like, especially in the beginning stages of a company, like I call the reward-based like the new family and friends round, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's a non-dilutive way to raise capital without even giving up, equity of your company. But it's also a great way to find traction, to find product market fit, because people vote with their dollars. So if
Yeah.
you're raising money via through reward base, and you have, a product where people are interested. So if you're able to raise money through reward base, now what that does is, obviously it helps, bring traction to your company, bring social proof, but it also helps, like what you're saying, it helps you in a better position to interview that next round of angels or VCs, because now you don't seem too desperate, right?
Right.
Because you already don't raise the money, you already know you have traction, you have the client. So now I could be in a position where I'm interviewing the investor to
Yeah.
make sure we're a good fit, and I'm not being desperate to partner with anybody just because I just need the money.
Yeah.
So that's key what you said as well. That's very important. I'm glad you brought that up, because I think entrepreneurs need to understand that, like, yeah, you need the funding, but yeah, you also need to interview these investors, because you're getting in partnership with them. Like, they're
Yeah.
gonna have some form of equity in your company. You're gonna be working with them, so you need to make sure y'all have some form of synergy,
Yeah.
and y'all share the same mission and goals, because now they're gonna become your partners. So
Yes.
that's
Yes.
definitely important. That's definitely. I'm glad you mentioned that. This is
Mhm.
awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, my last two questions. So the first question is what's the plans for for Young King in the next 5-10 years? Like, what is the goals?
Yeah, our goal, I mean, we're trying to be the brand for multicultural young men. And so we want to be on the likes of, your Harrys and your Bevels and all of these big, amazing brands of what they've been able to build. That's what we're going for. And so for us, that's building out kind of our product portfolio. So working on new innovations to bring those to market. Like I said, we've started in hair because we recognize that that's the most kind of immediate, gap in the beauty industry for young men of color. But really creating products so that we're growing along the boys grooming journey. So starting with
Right,
them at a very early age and creating those products with them all the way until they think they're too grown.
right.
Using more mature adult products. And so that's what we're going to be focused on over these next couple of years. And then also just continue to find, good strategic partnerships with other brands that really align with what we're building. And so, from a marketing aspect, doing that. And then, for us, building our founding team. I mean, right now, we're a team of one full-time, which is me, and my husband who is part-time. And granted, we have some kind of consultants that we work for other areas. But as we are gearing up to kind of close this round and getting the capital, we can kind of build out that infrastructure, that team to really help accelerate our growth over the next couple months to 2 years. So we're excited about everything that's going on with the business, from our retail partnerships to kind of, like I mentioned, innovation and just other things that we've always wanted to do, but because we were bootstrapping, didn't have the money.
Right. Of course.
So we're excited about these next couple of months to 2 years to really get out there and get going.
Yeah, I think that's great though. I think bootstrapping is needed.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Keeps
think
you humble.
definitely. And I think any investor in their right mind would highly suggest an entrepreneur to bootstrap, at least in the beginning stages, because like you said, it keeps you humble. It makes you value your business more. And then it also helps you, it helps the investor to understand that you're in it to win it. Because
Correct.
if
Putting
you're
it all
to
on
put in
the
the
table.
work to right, if you're not willing to sacrifice and put in the hours to build this company, then as an investor, like, why should I sacrifice my money for something that you don't even take serious? So I think anybody that's looking to start a business shouldn't overlook bootstrapping. I mean, it's hard, especially when you're money tight. It's difficult, but I believe that helps the creativity of an entrepreneur, because when you're working with a little bit of nothing,
you get real scrappy.
you tend to become real creative in what you do. And I think that's all in innovation and stuff like that. Like, you become real creative. So,
Amen to that.
and it's like, and I think that's, to be honest, it's in our DNA. Like, our parents, our great grandparents, they made something out of nothing. They became creative. And so it's in our DNA. So, man, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, like we were saying before we started, entrepreneurship, that's a hustle, man. And to your point of bootstrapping, working with a little, that's all part of the grind when you're building a business from nothing, literally nothing but the pennies that you have, the money that you have saved up to go towards the business. So you find any and everything out there to help support you, paying as little as you possibly can. You make it work. You just make it work.
Definitely. So my last question that I ask everybody: what's one advice for our viewers and listeners that's on here today, or those who will watch the replay on YouTube or Facebook? What is one advice that you would give them? If it's an inspiring entrepreneur, somebody who's wanting to tap into the entrepreneurship world, like, what is one advice that you would give them?
I would say, for me, it was so critical and important to have advisors. Essentially, like, people that can have your back regardless. And you can bounce ideas off, and you could think through strategy and just, even areas that you're not even familiar with, but just having an advisor, having someone kind of in your corner, a part of your community, like, to really help you, especially even on those days where it's hard. And sometimes you feel like, I don't even know how I'm doing this, man. Like, and you're stressed and burnt out. But you have to keep going. And for me, I kept going because I always remembered my why, which was my son. This is who I do this for each and every day, and why I built this company for Black boys who look like him. So, I kept my why top of mind, but I also had my go-to group of people that I could just tap on, send a quick text, call up, just when I needed that extra either encouragement or just to brainstorm ideas off of, because it gets hard, it gets tiring. entrepreneurship sometimes is really glamorized. You see, these great founder stories, success stories of people winning and making millions of dollars, but that doesn't happen overnight.
Nope.
and so all that grind that goes into it beforehand to get there, it's a lot. And
Yep.
so my advice always is to make sure you have your people. You have those people that you can talk to when you need to, and that'll just have your back.
Definitely. I love it. And it's important to have that accountability because like we spoke before we got on this live, um, you need a team. You can't,
Yes.
especially when you're talking about entrepreneurship, it's very, 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 very hard to go alone by yourself
Mm-hmm.
because I can't tell you countless of times, even including myself, that's going through the process. It'd be times you want to quit. It's
Yeah.
like sometimes because in the beginning stages, sometimes it just feel like things is not working out. Like
Yeah.
it ain't working out. It ain't going in my favor. It's not going to work. And then we end up doubting ourselves. Then we end up talking ourselves out of it because
Yeah.
it's not easy. But not
Right.
knowing it's the process. It's the journey,
It's the
and
journey.
yeah,
Amen.
journey. And it's like people have to realize, you know, the I don't know if you saw a video on Facebook that was going around viral with I guess he was a homeless guy that was talking to the two young dudes in the car. And the key thing he said to them is like is really not about the destination. It's about the journey. Because the
Mhm.
journey is really where you get the experience. It's really where you define your purpose, your why, because it's like it builds your character, it builds who you are. So it's like
Mhm.
when you jump from point A to Z and you already hit your destination, it's like there's really no value behind it because it's like I didn't put no work behind it. That's why a lot of
Right.
people who hit the lotto and become millionaires, they end up being broke within a couple of years because
Right.
they didn't even have to work for it. Like all
Right.
they had to do is put some numbers in, they become rich, and then they end up mismanaging the money because there's no value behind it. But when you grinding it out as an entrepreneur, you have your stressful days, days you want to quit, but you keep going. The moment you hit that milestone, the moment you hit what we call success, you appreciate it, you value it. You know what I'm saying? Then you become humble, and then the whole idea to me is what we try to teach our people is like once you hit that level of success, the whole idea to me, the definition of wealth is what you give back. Like how are you utilizing your experience to give back to other people and
Yes.
teach other people and let them know, like be a testimony to somebody else. And
Amen.
I think that's the true definition of wealth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was on a talk about this a couple weeks ago about how you're creating wealth in your community. How are you
Mhm.
contributing to the economic, empowerment development of your community? And that can look like, and I give the example for me, we're creating an ecosystem of people that look like us. So
Right.
everything from our manufacturing partner to our fulfillment partner, everything in between, the people that will hire, we're pouring back into our culture to make
Mhm.
sure that they're set up for
Right.
success. So for me, that's critical in how we run our business because that's what we're doing for. We're trying to create generational wealth and really uplift our community.
Definitely. Facts. We're on the same page with that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, Cora, this was a pleasure.
Yeah.
I love you gave us the opportunity to talk to you, and I'm quite sure those individuals who's watching it now and will watch the replay. This is our first time doing a live on Monday. We normally do it on Wednesday nights,
So,
um, but we made it happen. So just because of you, I might do it twice a week now because I like it. Because we have some people that want to get on, but it's like we already booked for like February already.
yeah, yeah.
So we're looking to do twice a week. So you might have to make some changes for us. So I like it. I enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing the success of the company with your family.
Thank
I'll be
you.
following you and supporting you.
I
Um,
appreciate you.
I got a bald head, and my son might like it. My son got some hair, the little mohawk thing that he's trying to get going. So definitely, we will be supporting you. So how can people find you? How can they follow you, get in contact with you, or
Yes. So we're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Young King Hair Care. We just started a TikTok. We're
Okay.
trying to get things going there at Young King Hair Care. And then I'm on LinkedIn at Cora Miller if you ever want to reach out.
Nice. All right, Cora, I appreciate the time and thank you for sharing this information with us and sharing your journey. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I had a great time. Thanks
All right.
again.
You're welcome.
All right, bye.